Hi, welcome to an episode of Bench Talk. I'm your host, Tom Gerrard. This week, I am sitting down with Claire Bradshaw from the Art Career Academy again for another Q&A episode. How you going, Claire?
Really well, thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah. And as always, this episode is brought to you by the Art Career Academy, the online school for the emerging artist. Okay, so we're going to get straight into our Q&A, and we've got three great questions that have come in again, and we're going to work our way through them. Do you want to kick it off, Claire?
I shall. So, the first question we got came through an Instagram DM, and it says, "It's my first group exhibition. How do I price my work?"
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like always, like pricing your artwork for the first time is I guess it's a bit of a daunting task, and there's a lot of I guess self inquiry for how do you value yourself. I've found historically from the exhibitions I've been to for the early career artists is they tend to underprice themselves 90% of the time. You do see 5%. Oh, actually, I'll say 90% of the time they underprice themselves. 5% they get it just right. And then the other, like 5%, they overprice themselves. So a way to go about this is to sort of get a bit of a ballpark figure of where your art sits, like your pricing, like at the cheap end, what would it be? At the high end, what would it be? And maybe find a price in between and then check in with your peers, because if it is a group show, it usually means that there's someone that's running the space. Speak with them because they'd have a good idea on what's going on there, and see if you know any other artists in the exhibition. Or even if you're dropping your piece off and there's other artworks already there, just speak to the people at the gallery and say, look, what's the like average pricing going on here? Because there's nothing worse than being too cheap and you see everyone's artwork hung up and then you go, oh my God, I'm the cheapest in the room, and that doesn't look or feel good. Or if you've gone the other way and like overly priced yourself and people are like, oh, they've got rocks in their head pricing their artwork at that price. You want to be comfortable and confident in your pricing. And that being said, prices fluctuate from room to room. Like I've had this conversation with a lot of artists recently that's saying, say you've got an artwork and you put, $5,000 is the price of that artwork. And if you hang it in certain galleries or especially group shows, that $5,000 artwork could seem really overpriced. But then you hang the same artwork in a different group show and it could be really severely underpriced. So you want to, there's no right or wrong here. It's more about like, fitting in with your environment and making sure that you're comfortable with that as well. Have you got anything to add to that, Claire?
Yeah, I think, when it's your first show, um, totally get how daunting it is to put a price on work that you've created when there's no one outside of you telling you this is the price, this is what it's valued at. And, if you think about kind of, in the broader environment, when we go into a shop or, a cafe, there's like a general pricing, we know kind of roughly what the prices should be. And so, but as an artist, you don't have that. And so to Tom's point, if it's your first show, be really kind to yourself, like let go of pressure. And, as Tom was saying, speak to the gallery because if it's your first show, they should be there to be supportive of you, in terms of, your pricing and they would have a good gauge in terms of artists who are at your kind of stage of the journey, what they feel your artwork could go for. Look at what your peers are pricing their artwork at. That's a really great gauge. And then the other aspect is like feeling into yourself. And this is kind of a bit of a tricky one because to Tom's point, we tend to undervalue ourselves generally. Most people do. And you want to get to a price point where it feels a little bit stretchy, like a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit like, you know? And when you're at that place, that you're challenging your kind of inner kind of worthiness barometer and you're pricing it at a strong amount. And, something to tune in with. You know when you price something below what it is valued at. Because you will feel into your own body, and there'll be something that will pop up into your mind where you'll feel a bit like, I let myself down, or I feel a bit resentful, or something like that. That generally will come up when we're underpricing. And so just tuning in with yourself is a good way to look at it. And I suppose the other side, that's really when you're having your first show, is to kind of tune into all of these things. And being in communities and things like that where you can talk it out is really helpful. I know that Tom helps a lot of students in our group with this type of thing. But also outside of that, as you're moving forwards with your career, your prices are going to increase. Because the more wins you have on the board, the more you're celebrated, the more, shows you've had. And, as you're growing your career, things will start to shift. And that's when you can look at other things. And, we talk a little bit about this in our program, which is around, what is the amount of money that you're wanting to make, and then kind of working out what the costs are and things like that. So you could kind of have a bit of a formula that you work to, and then you have kind of a pricing structure around that. But at the start, I wouldn't think too much about that. I'd follow, the guidance that Tom's given.
Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, and it's one more thing as well. Like, I was at an exhibition yesterday, and I saw an artwork in there that was it was quite a small artwork, but it was very highly detailed, and you could tell that a lot of time, effort, and skill had gone into creating it. Yet the price was very low. Well, in my opinion, it was very low, and I thought that they'd priced it on the size of the artwork and hadn't thought about all the other elements that I just mentioned. Because I could see the amount of skill and detail and craft that went into it, and I just thought they just measured out the size of it and said, oh, well, I guess it's that size, so it's that price. And that's another way, make sure you don't get caught out with those smaller artworks, because I've found throughout my career that some of the smaller artworks I've done have been the most painstaking and time-consuming artworks I've made. Yet, you look at the size of them and go, oh, well, it's only that size, so I'm going to put a very low price on it. And it doesn't always equal out that way. So these are some other things to consider.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So
alrighty.
really hope that has helped you. All right, so the second question is, I sold 50% of my artwork in a recent exhibition. What do I do with the artwork that didn't sell? And this one comes direct from our Momentum membership. We've been talking about this kind of in length, haven't we, Tom?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's an interesting one, because I've seen a few different people, like, I guess sort of mistreat their artworks after an exhibition, in a way that they said, oh, well, those didn't sell. And it's like, well, what do I do with them now? Throw them in the bin or something like that. And it's like, these are valuable artworks that you've put lots of love into. And when artwork comes back from a gallery, I like to look at this as studio stock. So I have extra, I've now got artworks that I can sell directly from my studio, or I can enter them into art prizes, or I can choose to paint over them if I want to, or I could remix them, or I could, by adding different elements to it, going, oh, you know what, like if I work on this area over here, I think I can create a whole new painting out of this artwork with only doing minimal work, like things like that. I've done all three of those things. I've entered them into art prizes. I've sold them directly from my studio, and I've also, just touched them up and added to them and changed them and then sent them back out there into the world again. So these are just three options, but there's so many more. Like I found even with canvases that I've painted, I'll unstretch them off the stretcher bars and take them out of the frames and roll them up and keep them as archive, because I really like the paintings, and I like to think that, throughout my lifetime, I'm going to have a retrospective show and things like that, and these can come back out for those. So I'm holding on to them for those. So, or even survey exhibitions and all that type of stuff. So there is lots of ways you can utilize this artwork, and they're not wasted. They just hadn't found their owners yet. And that's how I feel. And even when people say to me, oh, like those haven't sold, like, what do you do with them? And it's like, don't worry, they'll find homes. They always do. They always do. Like, I know because I'm in my studio now and I'm looking at all the artwork I have now and I'm thinking about all the artwork I've done in my lifetime. And I can tell you what, there's not that much in here. So we've all wound up somewhere. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I think they're all really good points. I think that what I'm hearing here is about being resourceful and having that resourceful attitude is really important. And having that attitude of like, this is a long game, you know, an art career isn't something that you do in 6 months and then it's over, you know? Hopefully you're thinking about, I'm going to be creating art for a living for my whole life, you know? And so taking that attitude, knowing that every step that you take, every exhibition you have, everything that you do is adding to the next thing and the next thing. Everything is compounding on top of each other. And that, you know, the work that may not sell will always find a home. And that's pretty exciting to approach, you know, exhibitions even from that place, so that you're not getting hung up on, oh, only 3 sold or whatever, you know, but being proud of what sells, but knowing, having the knowingness that all of these artworks are going to find their homes. And I know that has really supported Tom. You know, when he's going into an exhibition or something like that, it really helps with your nervous system and feeling really calm and confident. Really, really important. And, you know, and I think, you know, the other aspect of this, and, you know, I think it's a societal pressure, and we can also have pressure from, you know, family and friends. Not that they're doing it intentionally, but we can feel it, which is, you know, when you have a show or something, everyone wants to know, so how many pieces did you sell? Like, was it a sellout show? You know, people are often judging in that way. And to have that kind of confident mindset that everything is going to find its home and to be really proud of the work that you've created, I think it's really important. And when you do receive those, you know, any artworks that didn't sell or you go to pick them up, be excited about, you know, reconnecting with those artworks rather than kind of, we can go into this place of shame, which is like, we'll hide them away somewhere and just like, oh, I don't want to look at them. But can you be actually proud that, oh, I've got these artworks back. Oh, where can these artworks go now? And so it's a bit of a shift in terms of your mindset. And then when you shift that mindset, then incredible things can happen from that place. All right. So the last question that we have is, I'm doing a print release. How many prints should I get printed?
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've seen, you know, like I've seen people do it in different ways. I feel that the most effective way, especially if you're on the rise, you know, you're building your career, is to do a bit of a print to order type of deal. Like, because you don't want to be sitting on 200 prints and you've only sold 10 of them, but then you keep promoting them for the next X amount of years until you work your way through them. It's not always the best way of doing it. So what I've been doing, and I see a lot of other artists do, is you know, speak to their printer and have a print to order deal going on. This could look like you print like 3 or 5 of them and you've got them in the studio, and then you can sign them and get all the photos needed to do all the marketing and promotion around your print release. And then you launch it, and then you can say the printer, like, I sold X amount, can you print them out for me now? And then they do the print to order. So you're not left carrying excess stock. You know, it is always handy to have some extra prints in your studio as well, you know, like for people who pop by and they are looking to prints to sell, to buy, sorry. So that's a good way of doing it. And there's, like, if you're Melbourne based, like I am, like 2 print shops that do this quite well is SMLXL in Paran and also 24/7 Print in Collingwood. And I know they both offer this, and it's a really good way of doing it. But as far as editions go, the edition size is really up to you. Like, I like to keep my editions around 50 to 100. I feel that any more of that, it starts becoming a bit of an open edition and the value of them goes down. There's just too many of them out there in the marketplace. And because, we're creating artwork all the time, we're coming up with new ideas and new designs, and you don't want to be sitting on a print for years that is an old idea that you're sort of done with, but you're still trying to sell it and it's not the best representation of where you're at right now. So to keep the editions quite low, I feel is, yeah, a good way of doing it. There are other people out there who I've seen who have got really big followings and most of their business is run through prints. And I've seen them do open editions for a very low price and then do the pre-sale that I was talking about and then get them all printed out and shipped. Now, some people who do this could sell, up to 1,000 prints and, but it is an open edition at a lower price. Me personally, I prefer to go a bit more premium on the pricing and then lower quantity.
Yeah, and I think they're really good points. I think, getting really clear in terms of where you're at in your career and where prints fit within your kind of like your suite of offerings. Because, to Tom's point, some artists, like they may build their entire career on prints. But they will need to do a lot of marketing with that. And so to Tom's point, they'll be having, a launch and they'll be doing a pre-launch and then they'll be opening the cart for a period of time and things like that. But there is a lot of marketing in that. So it's, whether that suits the type of business, the art business that you're really wanting to run or not, or whether you're wanting to have prints as an offering on your website that's available, consistently, or you launch them for a period of time, something like that. Or to Tom's point, you have also additional prints that are available direct from your studio. So when you have studio open days and things like that, you have some extra offerings at that certain price point. So it does really depend in terms of where you're at in your career, how you build your business, like what that looks like, and also how much marketing you're really wanting to do. And when you're doing lower priced offerings, like something like prints, and you're doing like an open edition or you're doing huge quantities, then you'll want to have a big audience and you'll want to be okay with doing all of the marketing things around that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay.
that was it for our 3 questions. We've got
Okay. Great.
another announcement to make, don't we, Claire? We've got a masterclass coming up. Do you want to
Yeah.
tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so if you love these sessions that Tom and I run with the Art Career Academy and you're kind of semi-familiar and you're a bit curious, then we want to invite you. We've got a masterclass coming up. It's free. It's on the 19th of August, so it's a Tuesday at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which I think is around 9 a.m. In the UK. And in this masterclass, we're going to be taking you through our 5-step framework to building and growing a sustainable art career. And this is all about fast tracking your art career. So we spoke about it being, it's a long-term thing, but how do you actually get started? How do you get momentum quicker? So that's what we're all about, is helping you with that so that you can build the demand and so that you can generate more sustainable income quicker. And so if you are interested in that masterclass, we will put the link below and you can come join us. You could also go to our website and you'll be able to sign up there. Yeah, and if you have any other questions that you would like to ask for one of these future Q&A sessions with Tom and I, send Tom a DM in his Bench Talk Instagram, and yeah, we will feature your question. Absolutely love having this time to spend to answer your questions, give value, and yeah, hang out.
Sounds great. So yeah, as Claire mentioned, go to artcareeracademy.com and register there, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you there.
Amazing.
All right. So yeah, thanks again for coming on Bench Talk, Claire, and doing another Q&A session. I love these sessions. It's yeah, I don't know, it just gives me an opportunity to think and talk about things that I don't give a lot of thought to. I realize that they're burning questions on other people's minds, but because I've been doing this for a long time now, I don't give so much thought to certain topics that we raise here. So it's good to delve deep and really dig into the thought process behind everything.
Love it. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
my pleasure.